You're a stay-at-home mom, you don't contribute, my husband said while refusing to put my name on the house. So I quietly got a lawyer, gathered every screenshot of his late-night work meetings, and filed for divorce. At mediation, he learned that every hour I spent with our kids was counted as his child support problem. And my no contribution turned into half his pension. My husband told me I don't contribute to our family while I was literally holding our 6-month-old who had been screaming with an ear infection for 3 hours straight. We've been fighting about the house. The house his parents helped us buy 5 years ago. He wanted to refinance and I asked why my name still wasn't on the deed. That's when he said it. You're a stay-at-home mom. You don't contribute financially. Why would your name be on it? I just stared at him. Our toddler was pulling on my leg. The baby was crying. I had spit up on my shoulder and hadn't showered in 2 days. And he's standing there in his clean work clothes telling me I don't contribute. I take care of our children, I said. That's not a real job. He grabbed his keys. I have a work meeting. Don't wait up. It was 8 p.m. on a Thursday. That's when something clicked. He'd been having a lot of late meetings. Coming home smelling like perfume, he said, was from a coworker who hugged him. His phone was always face down. Always. I put the kids to bed and went through our phone records online. Page after page of text to the same number. Hundreds of them. All during work hours and late at night. I took screenshots of everything. Then I hired a lawyer with money from my dad. My lawyer was this older woman who'd been practicing family law for 30 years. She looked at my situation and said, "Honey, we're going to make sure you're taken care of." I didn't tell my husband anything. I just kept being the stay-at-home mom who didn't contribute. I documented everything. Every time he went to a work meeting. Every time he came home late. Every expense I covered with the household account he gave me access to. 3 months later, I filed. He lost his mind when he got served at work. Called me screaming. "You can't do this. This is my house. I paid for everything. See you at mediation," I said and hung up. At mediation, he brought his mistress. Like actually brought her to mediation. My lawyer's eyes lit up. His lawyer tried to lowball me on everything. Offered me basically nothing, said I could get a job now that I'd have free time. That's when my lawyer pulled out the folder. "Let's talk about contribution," she said. "Your client claims my client contributed nothing financially. But she provided full-time childcare for 2 children under 5. The average cost of a full-time nanny in our area is $4,200 per month. That's $50,400 annually. She also managed the household, which includes cooking, cleaning, scheduling, and household management. That's conservatively another $30,000 annually in services rendered." My husband's face went white. Additionally, my lawyer continued, "Your client will owe child support based on his income. And since he'll have the children approximately 40% of the time per the proposed custody arrangement, he'll be paying for childcare during his parenting time. Childcare he won't need because my client will still be the primary caregiver." "That's not," his lawyer started. "We're not finished. My client is entitled to half of all marital assets acquired during the marriage, including equity in the home, regardless of whose name is on the deed. She's also entitled to half of his pension, which has grown considerably during their marriage. And given the documentation we have of his affair," she slid a stack of printed text across the table, "we feel confident a judge will be sympathetic to her position." The mistress got up and left. Just walked right out. My husband tried to argue, but his lawyer told him to stop talking. They asked for a break. When they came back, his lawyer had a new offer. I got half of everything. The house went up for sale and we split it. Half his pension. Child support that actually reflected his income. Alimony for 3 years so I could get back on my feet. He signed it looking like he might throw up. After the papers were filed, his mom called me crying. Apparently the mistress was his boss's daughter, and when everything came out, it caused problems at his job. He didn't get fired, but his promotion got pulled. The one he'd been working toward for 2 years. "You destroyed his career," his mom said. "He destroyed our family," I told her. "I just made sure our kids and I would be okay." She hung up on me. "I'm in a small apartment now with the kids. It's cramped and I'm working part-time while they're in daycare, but it's ours." The divorce settled last month. My half of the house sale gave me a good cushion. His child support covers daycare and then some. Last week he texted asking if we could work things out because dating is expensive and he misses his family. I blocked his number. But now his sister is calling me saying I'm punishing him for one mistake and that I took him for everything. She said I should have just gone to counseling instead of being vindictive. My own mom even said maybe I moved too fast, that couples survive affairs all the time. So now I'm wondering if I should have tried harder to save it. Am I a butthole? The alimony stopped coming 2 months ago. My lawyer sent 3 letters. No response. Then his lawyer claimed he lost his job and couldn't afford it anymore. Which would be concerning, except I know for a fact he's still working because his sister posted a photo of him at some company event last week. I had to pull my eldest out of the art classes she loved. We're eating a lot of pasta. I'm working full-time now at a medical office and barely covering rent and daycare. Meanwhile he's just, hoping I'll give up? My lawyer filed a motion for contempt. Court date is in 3 weeks. But here's the thing that made me actually lose it. His mom showed up at my apartment yesterday. Just knocked on the door while I was getting the kids ready for bed. I opened it and there she was, holding a casserole dish like we're friends. "Can we talk?" she asked. I should have closed the door. I know that now. But I was so tired and she looked sad, and I don't know, part of me thought maybe she wanted to apologize for raising a man who thinks cheating is a mistake. I let her in. She sat on my couch and told me her son is struggling. He's depressed. He made an error in judgment, but he's learned from it. The affair meant nothing. He loves his kids. He wants to be a family again. He can't afford to pay you and his rent, she said. You're being unreasonable. I just stared at her. He's living in a studio apartment, she continued. Do you know how humiliating that is for him? He had a beautiful home and you took it. I didn't take anything, I said. A judge decided what was fair. You could have been kinder. You could have thought about your children having their father in a decent place. That's when I asked her to leave. She got huffy about it, said I was being dramatic, that she came here in good faith. Then she left the casserole on my counter and walked out. I threw the casserole away. I'm not eating food from someone who thinks I should have rolled over while her son screwed his boss's daughter in hotel rooms. But it gets worse. 2 days ago my oldest came home from a visit with her dad and asked me why I took all of daddy's money. She's 7 years old, and he's telling her I'm the reason he lives in a small apartment. I wanted to scream. Instead I sat her down and explained that when adults get divorced, a judge helps decide what's fair. That daddy and I both love her, but we can't live together anymore. I didn't tell her he cheated. I didn't tell her he called me worthless. I just tried to be the bigger person. She looked at me with these big worried eyes and asked if we're poor now. We're okay, I told her. We have everything we need. But we don't. Not really. I'm drowning. My car needs new brakes and I can't afford them. My youngest needs new shoes because she grew out of hers. I've been wearing the same work clothes for months because I can't justify buying anything new. And he's just living his life. Going to work events. Probably still seeing that woman, I don't know. Not paying what he owes because he knows it'll take months for the court to do anything about it. My lawyer says when we go to court they'll make him pay everything he owes plus interest. Possibly even my legal fees for having to file the motion. She says judges don't like it when people ignore court orders. But 3 weeks feels like forever when you're choosing between fixing your brakes and buying groceries. I called my dad. Asked if I could borrow money just until the court thing gets sorted. He said yes immediately, didn't even hesitate. But I hate asking. I hate that I'm 34 years old asking my father for help because my ex-husband decided his ego is more important than his children eating. My friends keep telling me to post about it on social media. Blast him publicly. But I won't do that to my kids. They don't need to grow up and find posts about their dad being a deadbeat all over the internet. Last night I was going through bills and just started crying. Not like sad crying, angry crying. The kind where your whole body shakes and you want to break something. My youngest heard me and came out of her room asking if I was okay. I lied and said I was fine. Put her back to bed. Then I sat on my bathroom floor until I could breathe normally again. I don't know what I expected. I knew he was selfish. I knew he only cared about himself. But some part of me thought when it came to his kids he'd at least do the bare minimum. His sister texted me yesterday. Said I need to be reasonable, that he's trying his best, that I should consider reducing what he owes me so he can get back on his feet. Like I'm not also trying to get back on my feet while doing everything for our children. I didn't respond. The court date is April 18th. My lawyer seems confident. But I'm scared. What if he actually did lose his job? What if the judge believes him? What if I'm stuck like this forever? I took screenshots of his sister's post showing him at that work event. My lawyer says that'll help. Proof he's employed. But it feels pathetic that I have to play detective to prove my ex is lying about being broke. Some days I wonder if I should have just stayed. Let him cheat. Kept the nice house and the stability. At least my kids wouldn't be asking if we're poor. But then I remember him telling me I don't contribute. Looking me in the eyes while I held our baby and saying I wasn't worth putting on the deed. No. I did the right thing. I just wish the right thing didn't feel like drowning. My dad dropped off the money yesterday. $2,000 in an envelope. He hugged me for a long time and didn't say anything. Just held me while I tried not to cry again. He's been checking in every day since the divorce. Calling to see if the kids need anything. He offered to pay for a better lawyer, but mine is good. She's just expensive. The thing that kills me is how normal he acts during pickups. Like everything is fine. Like he's not telling our daughter I stole his money. Like he's not dodging payments while I'm falling apart. He showed up to court in a suit I bought him 3 years ago. That's the first thing I noticed when I walked into the courtroom with my lawyer. He was sitting at the defendant's table looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. His lawyer was this older guy in an expensive suit who kept checking his phone. My lawyer leaned over and whispered, "Don't react to anything he says. Let me handle it." The judge was a woman in her 50s who looked tired before we even started. She called the case and asked his lawyer to explain why his client hadn't paid court-ordered support. "Your Honor, my client experienced a significant reduction in income due to restructuring at his company. He's been doing his best to make ends meet but simply doesn't have the funds available." I felt my jaw clench. My lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, we have evidence that contradicts this claim." She pulled out printed screenshots. His sister's social media posts showing him at company events. A LinkedIn update from 2 weeks ago congratulating him on leading a new project. Photos of him at a restaurant that charges $40 for a steak. The judge looked at the photos. Then at him. "Mr. Redacted, are you currently employed?" "Yes, Your Honor, but my hours were cut and..." "Were your hours cut or were you restructured out of your position?" He stammered. His lawyer jumped in with some excuse about voluntary reduced hours to focus on personal growth. The judge was not having it. "So you chose to reduce your income while owing court-ordered support to your ex-wife and children?" Silence. The judge ordered him to pay everything he owed within 30 days. $6,000 in back alimony plus my legal fees for filing the motion. She also warned him that if he missed another payment she'd hold him in contempt and he could face jail time. His face went red. He looked at me like this was my fault. We left the courthouse and I finally felt like I could breathe. My lawyer hugged me and said she'd send the order to his lawyer by end of day. I thanked her and went to pick up my kids from my dad's house. That was 4 days ago. Yesterday I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer but something made me pick up. It was her. The mistress. "We need to talk," she said. "I don't think we do. He's been lying to you. About everything." I should have hung up. But I didn't. She told me they never stopped seeing each other. That he told her the divorce was my idea, that I was unstable and trying to take everything from him out of spite. He said I was keeping the kids from him. That I refused to co-parent. I believed him, she said. Until I saw the court documents he left at my place. Apparently he'd been crying to her about how unfair the judge was. How his evil ex-wife was ruining his life. She read through everything and realized he'd been lying to her for months. "He told me you cheated on him," she said. "That's why he filed for divorce." I actually laughed. Couldn't help it. "He's been telling everyone you're the reason he's broke. That you took his house and his kids and bled him dry. Did you call to apologize?" I asked. "No. I called because you should know he's planning something." My stomach dropped. She said he'd been talking about how the court system is biased against men. How he was going to prove I'm an unfit mother. He'd been documenting every time I was late to a pickup, every time the kids looked tired, anything he could use against me. "He took photos of your apartment," she said. "He's building a case to get full custody." "On what grounds?" "He thinks if he gets full custody he won't have to pay support anymore." I thanked her and hung up. Then I called my lawyer. She told me to document everything. Every interaction, every text, every exchange. She said custody modification is hard to prove and he'd need solid evidence of neglect or abuse, which he doesn't have. But she warned me to be careful anyway. I started paying attention to everything during pickups. Taking photos of the kids before they left, making sure they were clean and fed and happy. Writing down exact times. Screenshotting every text. Last night he dropped them off 30 minutes late. When I asked why, he said traffic. But my oldest told me they stopped for ice cream and Daddy let them play at the park. He's testing me. Seeing if I'll react. Trying to build his narrative of the unstable ex-wife. I didn't say anything. Just smiled and thanked him for bringing them home. This morning I got an email from a court mediator. He'd filed a motion to modify custody. Claiming the current arrangement isn't working and that he should have primary placement because he can provide a more stable environment. A more stable environment. The man who lives in a studio apartment and stopped paying support because he couldn't afford it thinks he can provide more stability than me. My lawyer says we'll fight it. That his contempt ruling works in my favor. That judges don't look kindly on parents who weaponize custody to avoid paying support. But I'm terrified. What if he wins? What if some judge believes his lies? What if I lose my kids because I had the audacity to divorce a cheater? I can't eat. Can't sleep. Every time my phone buzzes I panic thinking it's another legal filing. My dad offered to help pay for a custody evaluator if it comes to that. Someone who'll interview both of us and make a recommendation to the court. But that's another $5,000 I don't have. Meanwhile, he's out there living his life, posting on social media about being a dedicated father, getting sympathy from people who don't know the truth. His mom called me this morning. Said I should drop the custody case before it gets ugly. That her son deserves to see his children. He sees them every other weekend, I said. That's not enough. Then he should have thought about that before he cheated. She hung up on me. I'm so tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of being afraid. Tired of watching him manipulate everyone while I'm barely holding it together. But I can't give up. These are my kids. I spent 7 years raising them while he worked late and had meetings. I was the one up all night with fevers and bad dreams. I was the one who sacrificed everything. And I'll be damned if I let him take them now just because he doesn't want to pay child support. The custody hearing is in 6 weeks. My lawyer says to stay calm and keep doing what I'm doing. Be the responsible parent. Document everything. Don't engage with his provocations. So that's what I'll do. Even though every part of me wants to scream. The custody evaluator came to my apartment on Tuesday. She was younger than I expected. Maybe 40. Professional but warm. She spent 3 hours watching me interact with the kids, asking questions about our routine, looking through their bedroom. How often does their father see them? She asked. Every other weekend. Sometimes he's late dropping them off. She wrote something down. I tried not to look anxious. My youngest showed her a drawing she'd made at preschool. The evaluator smiled and asked her to explain it. It was supposed to be our family, just the 3 of us. No dad in the picture. Where's Daddy? The evaluator asked gently. He doesn't live here anymore, my daughter said. Mommy says he has his own house now. More notes. After the kids went to play in their room, she asked about my ex. About the affair, the divorce, the support payments. I tried to stay factual. Didn't want to sound bitter or vindictive. He claims you're alienating the children from him. I've never said anything negative about him in front of them. They don't even know why we got divorced. But your oldest told him you took all his money. My stomach twisted. He told her that. Not me. I explained that a judge decided what was fair. She nodded. Wrote more. The evaluation at his place was scheduled for Thursday. I spent 2 days anxious, wondering what he'd say about me. What lies he'd tell. Friday morning my lawyer called. The evaluator wants to meet with you again. Without the children. Why? She didn't say. But it's scheduled for Monday. I barely slept all weekend. My mind kept racing through worst-case scenarios. What if she believed him? What if she recommended he get primary custody? Monday came. I sat across from her in her office, hands shaking. I need to ask you some questions about your ex-husband's living situation, she said. I nodded. When I visited his apartment, he was living in a 2-bedroom. Very clean, well organized. The children's room had bunk beds, toys, everything they'd need. That didn't sound like the studio apartment his mom had cried about. But something didn't add up, she continued. I asked about his work schedule. He said he works from home 3 days a week to be available for the kids. But you told me he only sees them every other weekend. That's correct. So I did some checking. His lease is only 2 months old. Before that he was living in a studio across town. My heart started pounding. I also spoke with his employer. His hours weren't cut. He's working full-time, same as always. He voluntarily moved to a larger apartment right before filing for custody modification. To make it look like he could handle them full-time, I said. That's my assessment. But there's something else. She pulled out her notes. During my visit, a woman stopped by. He introduced her as a friend who was dropping off some mail. But I noticed she had a key. And there were women's toiletries in the bathroom. Hair products, makeup remover. The mistress. She was living there. I asked him directly if anyone else lived in the apartment. He said no. He lied. Yes. And when I pressed him on it, he got defensive. Said his personal life wasn't relevant to his ability to parent. I felt something shift in my chest. Relief, maybe. Or vindication. I'm going to recommend maintaining the current custody arrangement, she said. He doesn't have a stable home environment if he's lying about who lives there. And his financial claims don't match reality. I almost cried right there in her office. But I need to warn you, she added. He's not going to take this well. These cases can get ugly when the evaluation doesn't go their way. She was right. That night I got a text from him. Not about the evaluation. About our youngest school enrollment for next year. We need to talk about kindergarten options. I want her in the charter school near my place. She's already enrolled in the public school by me. I'm her father. I have a say in this. I didn't respond. Forwarded it to my lawyer instead. An hour later, another text. You can't keep making decisions without me. I'm taking you back to court. Then his mother called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail saying I was destroying her son, that I was using the kids as weapons, that she'd never forgive me for this. Delete. His sister texted. You're going to regret this. Block. Then yesterday, something happened that made my blood run cold. I picked up the kids from school and my oldest was quiet the whole drive home. When we got to the apartment, she finally spoke. Daddy said we might come live with him soon. What? He said the court is going to decide that his house is better. That you work too much and he can take better care of us. I wanted to scream. Instead, I knelt down to her level. Sweetie, that's not true. You're staying here with me. Nothing is changing. But Daddy said. I know what Daddy said. But he's wrong. She looked scared. Confused. I hugged her and felt rage building in my chest. He's telling my children they're being taken away from me. Preparing them like it's inevitable. Planting seeds of doubt about whether I can take care of them. I called my lawyer immediately. Left a message about parental alienation, about him making promises he can't keep, about the psychological damage he's doing. She called back an hour later. Document everything he says to the kids. Write it down with dates and exact quotes. If he continues, we can file a motion. Can't we do something now? The evaluator's report isn't final yet. Once it is, and once the judge rules on custody, we'll have more leverage. But right now we need to be patient. Patient. While he poisons my kids against me. Last night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what he said to them. About how scared my daughter looked. About how he's weaponizing their confusion to hurt me. This morning I dropped them at school and the teacher pulled me aside. Is everything okay at home? Your oldest has been acting out. Saying things about having to leave you. I explained the custody situation. The teacher nodded sympathetically and said she'd keep an eye on things. When I got to work I couldn't focus. Just sat at my desk staring at spreadsheets, thinking about the hearing in 4 weeks. 4 weeks until a judge decides if my ex's lies are convincing enough. 4 weeks of him telling our children I'm losing them. 4 weeks of waiting while he does everything he can to undermine me. My phone buzzed. Another text from him. The kids told me you're upset about our conversation. Stop putting words in their mouths. I'm putting words in their mouths. He tells them they're leaving me and I'm the problem. I forwarded it to my lawyer without responding. Tonight after I put the kids to bed, I sat in the dark and let myself feel everything I've been holding back. The fear. The anger. The exhaustion. He's not going to stop. Even after the evaluation. Even after the judge rules. He's going to keep pushing, keep manipulating, keep trying to hurt me through our children. And I don't know how much more I can take. The judge ruled in my favor yesterday. Full custody stays with me. He gets every other weekend, same as before. The evaluator's report was damning. She testified that he lied about his living situation, misrepresented his income, and was coaching the children to say things that weren't true. His lawyer tried to discredit her. Said she was biased, that her observations were taken out of context. The judge wasn't buying it. Mr. Redacted, you filed for custody modification claiming you could provide a more stable environment. Yet the evidence shows you moved to a larger apartment specifically for this case, you're cohabitating with someone you denied living there, and you've made false statements about your employment status. This doesn't demonstrate stability. This demonstrates manipulation. I watched him shrink in his chair. The judge continued. Furthermore, telling the children they would be leaving their mother before any ruling was made shows poor judgment and a willingness to cause them unnecessary distress for your own benefit. She denied his motion. Ordered him to pay my legal fees for the custody case. Warned him that any further attempts to alienate the children would result in supervised visitation only. He walked out without looking at me. That was 3 days ago. I haven't heard from him since. No texts about pickup times. No calls to talk to the kids. Nothing. His mom called yesterday morning. Not to yell this time. To ask if the kids could come to her house for her birthday next month. That's up to their father, I said. It's his parenting time. He's not handling this well, she admitted. He's been staying with me. Says he can't afford the apartment anymore. He never could. That was the whole point. Silence on her end. Look, I said, I never wanted to keep the kids from their grandmother. If he wants to bring them to your birthday during his weekend, that's fine. But I'm done being the middleman for his relationship with them. She thanked me quietly and hung up. The mistress texted me 2 days ago. I'd forgotten I had her number saved from when she called about his custody plans. I left him. Thought you should know. I didn't respond, but she sent another message anyway. He told me you were crazy. That you were keeping his kids from him out of spite. I believed him for so long. I'm sorry I was part of hurting you. I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me wanted to tell her exactly what I thought of her apology. That she helped destroy my marriage. That she lived in his apartment while he tried to take my children. That sorry doesn't fix anything. But I just deleted the texts. She's not worth my energy anymore. Work has been better. My boss pulled me aside last week and said she'd noticed I seemed stressed. Asked if everything was okay. I gave her the brief version. She offered me flexible hours if I needed them for court or kid stuff. You're a good employee, she said. And a good mom. Don't let anyone make you doubt that, I cried in the bathroom after that conversation. The good kind of crying. My dad came over last night with groceries. He's been doing that since the divorce. Just shows up with bags of food and helps me put everything away. Doesn't make a big deal of it. You did good, kiddo, he said while organizing my pantry. I'm proud of you. I'm just tired. I know. But you fought for your kids and you won. That takes strength. The kids are doing better. My oldest hasn't mentioned moving in with her dad in over a week. She's been happier, more like herself. My youngest drew another family picture at school. This time she included her dad, but he was off to the side. Me and her sister were holding hands in the center. Her teacher showed it to me at pickup. Said she seems more settled now. I asked my oldest last night if she was okay with how things turned out. If she understood why she stays with me. Yeah, she said. Daddy's apartment was too small anyway. And you make better pancakes. Kids are resilient like that. Finding normal in the chaos. I've been thinking a lot about what my lawyer said after the ruling. That this probably isn't over. That he might try again in a few years. That I need to keep documenting everything just in case. Part of me is exhausted by that idea. But another part of me feels ready. I know what he is now. A manipulator who will lie and scheme and hurt people to get what he wants. And I know I'm strong enough to fight him. The first support payment since the contempt ruling came through yesterday. Full amount plus the back pay he owed. I stared at my bank account for a solid minute. It's been so long since I wasn't worried about making rent. I took the kids to the art supply store. Let my oldest pick out whatever she wanted. She chose watercolors and fancy paper and spent 3 hours painting at the kitchen table. My youngest wanted Play-Doh. We made a whole zoo of animals together. Simple things. But they felt like victories. I've been sleeping better. Not great, but better. I still wake up sometimes thinking I heard my phone buzz with another legal filing. But then I remember it's over. The custody fight is done. He lost. And I won. Not just in court. I won my peace back. My confidence. My ability to believe I'm a good mother despite everything he said. I look at my kids and see 2 little girls who are loved and safe and supported. Who have a mom who fought for them even when she was terrified and broke and exhausted. Who chose the hard right thing over the easy wrong thing. That's what I'll tell them someday when they're old enough to understand. Not the details of the affair or the court battles or the money fights. Just that their mom loved them enough to walk away from someone who didn't value any of us. And that choosing yourself, choosing your kids, choosing truth over convenience, is always worth it. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. My lawyer sent the final invoice yesterday. I paid it with money from the settlement. Sent her a thank you card too. She texted back saying I was one of the strongest clients she'd ever represented. I don't feel strong most days. I feel tired and anxious and worried about the future. But I guess strength isn't about feeling fearless. It's about doing what needs to be done even when you're scared. His sister unfriended me on social media yesterday. I noticed when I was scrolling. Didn't bother me like I thought it would. That whole family can think whatever they want. I know the truth. The apartment feels different now. Lighter somehow. I rearranged the living room last weekend. Put up some photos of just me and the kids. Painted the kitchen wall a soft yellow color my youngest picked out. It's starting to feel like home instead of a place I ended up. I ran into someone from our old neighborhood at the grocery store last week. She asked how I was doing, if the divorce was final. When I said yes, she got this look on her face. I always thought he was charming, she said. But my husband never trusted him. Said something felt off. I wonder how many people saw through him while I was too close to notice. Tonight after the kids fell asleep, I sat on my couch in the quiet apartment and just breathed. No court dates looming. No angry text to respond to. No fear that everything I've built could be taken away. Just peace. It's not the life I planned. Not the family I thought I'd have. But it's mine. And it's enough. The kids and I are enough. I finally believe that now.